Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Let's seek the truth and travel the long road to justice together. What you know, Alibiers, welcome to another episode of Pretty Lies and Alibis. I'm Gigi. Good to have you here. It is Monday, December 9th. We are going to jump right in because there's been an arrest in the murder of UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. 26-year-old Luigi Mangione arrested at a McDonald's in Altoona, Pennsylvania. An employee who was working recognized him and asked a customer to verify that this could be the suspect. Once that customer verified they thought that was the suspect, the call was made to police while Luigi was eating. Now, Altoona is about 300 miles west of New York City. Let's read through the criminal complaint because that really tells pretty much everything that law enforcement's putting out officially right now, and then we'll add some things that just came out at the press conference. It says, on December 9th at 9:14 a.m., police were dispatched for a suspicious male from a recent shooting in New York from December 4th. Officers were advised the male was wearing a medical mask and a beanie. Upon arrival, officers located the male sitting in the rear of the building at a table. He was wearing a blue medical mask and looking at a silver laptop that was placed on the table. The male also had a backpack on the floor near the table he was sitting at. An officer made contact with the male and informed that officers were called to the McDonald's for a suspicious male matching his description. The officer asked the male to pull down his mask so he could see his face. He pulled the mask down and officers immediately recognized him as the suspect from the New York City incident after seeing photos of him from media sources. The man was asked for his identification and provided officers with a New Jersey driver's license bearing the name Mark Rosario with a date of birth July 21st, 1998. An officer ran the information through the dispatch center. The other officer asked if the man had been to New York City recently, and the man became quiet and started to shake. Additional units arrived on scene to assist with identifying the male. At this time, dispatch was unable to find any info with the information provided by officers. The man was advised he was under official police investigation, and if he lied about his identity, he would be arrested. The male then stated his name was the defendant, Luigi Mangione, with a date of birth of May 6, 1998. The driver's license the defendant provided to officers was found to be a fake identification card. When asked why he lied about his name, the defendant replied, "I clearly shouldn't have." Officers were instructed to place the defendant into custody for forgery and false identification. The defendant was placed into custody, handcuffed, and searched on scene. The defendant was then transported to the Altoona Police Department, where his property was properly inventoried pursuant to Altoona police policy. During the search of the defendant's backpack, officers located a black 3D printed pistol and black silencer. The pistol had a metal slide and plastic handle with a metal threaded barrel. The pistol had one loaded Glock magazine with 6 9mm full metal jacket rounds. There was also one loose 9mm hollow point round. The silencer was also 3D printed. The defendant is being charged with forgery, firearms not to be carried without a license, tampering with records or identification, instruments of a crime, and false identification to law enforcement. Now, he has been arraigned for those charges in Pennsylvania, and at the press conference that just wrapped up a few moments ago, they say New York will be filing charges soon. After those charges, he'll be presented with the option to agree to extradition or to contest it. If he were to contest it, it could take 30 to 45 days to get him extradited to New York. Investigators say he had $8,000 US on him and $2,000 in foreign currency. He also had bags to block cellular data. They know he's been in Pennsylvania for several days. They also know businesses he has been to frequently, which, according to investigators, led to more evidence. They're also looking into any potential accomplices and also if there were other intended targets. At the press conference, they said he was initially cooperative, but now he's not. He will likely be taken to a state correctional facility tonight. At the press conference, they also said they are in the process of getting search warrants and specifically mentioned electronics. Once he was at the police department, they did find a passport with the identification of his real name, Luigi Mangione. There were also other items of evidentiary value found. He also had a manifesto on his person. Now, mainstream media is reporting it possibly speaks to his mindset and motivation for the shootings. At the press conference, they did not get into anything that said. The New York Times, however, reported that the writing criticized healthcare companies for putting profits above care. Chief of Detectives Joe Kenny said, "We don't think there is any specific threats to other people mentioned in that document, but it does seem that he has some ill will towards corporate America." Police Commissioner Jessica Tisch said earlier today that among the items they found on his person, they did find clothing consistent with those worn by the suspect. The gun is being referred to as a ghost gun. Those can be assembled at home. And like we heard at the press conference, they believe it was 3D printed. You can get those kits online and you don't have to produce any kind of identification when you're ordering those kits. I'm sure they'll be testing the projectiles from the scene of the crime to those that they test fire from this weapon to see if they match. We also know they've recovered a fingerprint from that burner phone that was found near the crime scene and also the water bottle they believe the suspect purchased at Starbucks shortly before the shooting. I'm sure they will get his DNA to compare to anything that might have DNA on it. What do we know about Luigi? So I've spent a large part of this afternoon trying to find out anything that I can. We know he was born and raised in Maryland and has ties to San Francisco as well as Honolulu, Hawaii. He's a 2016 graduate of a private all-boys school in Maryland called the Gilman School. He was the valedictorian. A classmate from high school told Fox News Digital that Luigi seemed like a smart kid. He was always doing the right thing and said he wasn't crazy. It's not like he wasn't outgoing or introverted. He was a nice kid, always had a smile on his face, never really got the vibe of him being socially awkward. So that's why I'm really surprised. I graduated in 2015. He graduated in 2016. Now, the school has sent out an email to alumni that says, "This is deeply distressing news on top of an already awful situation. Our hearts go out to everyone affected." He has a very light criminal record from December of last year. It was a petty misdemeanor case in Honolulu, Hawaii for trespassing at the Nuuanu Pali Lookout, but no violent charges in his history. His LinkedIn profile said he graduated from the University of Pennsylvania with a Bachelor's of Science in Engineering, Computer, and Information Science in 2020. He went on and got his master's in engineering, computer, and information science. And he comes from a very wealthy family. It started back with his late grandfather, who was a real estate developer, owned several country clubs, nursing homes, and a radio station in the Baltimore area. His cousin is also a Republican delegate who represents parts of Baltimore County. I do have some stuff that I pulled from his social media before everything was taken down. It was very quick. Within probably an hour of the announcement that he had been arrested, these sites started coming offline. So I just want to make sure these are actually his before we go through any of it. We'll see what comes out in the next day or two. I'm not sure it'll be much. I expect him to be charged formally in New York, and then we'll see if he waives extradition or if he's going to contest it. That could slow the process down. Sorry, this is getting out a little late, but I really wanted to watch this press conference just to see if there was anything new, and there were a couple of new things that they talked about. So I will be keeping a very close eye on this case. Don't forget to hit subscribe. Click the bell if you want notifications. I may do a YouTube short if we hear a little piece here and there, and it's not enough for a full episode. So make sure you don't miss those. All right, guys. Hope you have a good rest of your evening. We will see you soon.